Hi, I'm Rhonda Massad, and I am here with Francis Scarpaleggia, MP for the Lac-St-Louis riding. Hi, Francis. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good.
I'm as good as can be expected. We're in the house, and we're safe because we're home.
Right.
Okay. So, do you want to address this, or do you want me to just start with my questions? Because I got a lot.
Sure. No, ask the questions. But so I didn't get your first point. You said, what did you say about the house? Your house?
I said we're safe if we're home.
Yes, we're safe if we're home. Absolutely. And when we go to the grocery store, 6 feet away,
Okay.
2 meters, 6 feet away. Absolutely.
There's a little anxiety. I'm going off script here from my own list of questions, but I'm personally very anxious to go to the grocery store. I don't want to go.
Right.
Is there really safety in keeping the 6 feet?
Well, that's what all the experts are saying. I mean, Teresa Tam, our public health officer, our amazing public health officer, has said so in TV ads and so on. The thing is to stay 6 feet away, and I think it's important that people understand that. I mean, you still see in the grocery stores, somebody just getting in somebody else's way because they're trying to get a box of this. I think it's really important that people understand 6 feet away is for real.
Okay. So there's been a huge amount of financial support from the government, and it's very difficult to unwind. Unemployment insurance gives me 55%, but there's a 75% thing going on, and
right.
Some companies that I know that they've reduced their employees to lessen their pay, they're getting a supplement from the government. I'm very confused at
Sure.
Do I take the 75? Do I take the 55 for the unemployment? What do I do?
Well, it is of course it is confusing because the government's developing programs in a matter of days that would take months to develop, and some of the details still need to come out. But essentially, it works like this. If you can still apply for EI, if you've applied after a certain date, and if your unemployment is a result of COVID-19, you'll be rolled into the new benefit, the Canadian Emergency Response Benefit. So you can go through EI, or you can wait till April 6th and apply directly for the emergency benefit. What I would suggest is, if you're planning on applying for the emergency benefit, go right now to the My CRA account.
Okay.
And a lot of this is on my Facebook page. I've posted a great deal of information.
I'm trying to pair up what you're putting up. Yep.
Yeah, and so you go to, don't wait till April 6th, go to My CRA, which is, you can create an account, and you can even set up for direct deposit with your financial institution. And then on April 6th, you go to canada.ca or My CRA. I haven't done it myself, obviously, and it's not online yet, but it won't be difficult to find. And then you can start the process. Now, the way it's working is, it's working alphabetically. So starting April 6th, there'll be 4 tranches of days when you can apply, depending on, the alphabet, what your last name starts with. So A to whatever, then F to whatever. So that'll take place, that'll be rolled out over 4 days. But don't wait till then. Just go to My CRA. It's very easy. You set up an account, and that's the portal essentially that people will be using.
Okay, so and it explains it also. When I apply for EI, the government will handle where I actually belong.
Yeah.
Like if it turns out I should be getting 75, not the thing. So it'll take care of itself. And I don't have to apply to Quebec. I just apply to Canada.
Just to Canada. Just to Canada. Now, the 75% is a different thing.
Okay.
So this is to allow employers to give them some financial relief. So the government will cover 75% of an employee's salary, and that's going to take some financial pressure off the company. The company is expected to make up the other 25%.
Of course.
Or to do its darndest to make up the other 25%. And you won't be able to get both. If you're working and getting the wage subsidy, you can't apply for the emergency response benefit. So those are essentially the two programs. Companies can also go to the bank and get a loan, a $40,000 loan, if they have if they have salaries, total salaries of more than 50,000, they can go and get an interest-free loan. And if they pay it back by December 22nd, 2022, I believe it is, $10,000 of that loan will be forgiven. So these are some of the measures that have been put in place. What the government is trying to do also is to minimize paperwork for companies. So if a company has to, let's say it doesn't have enough work, it has to, tell its employees to stay home. They don't have to formally lay them off and do all that paperwork. So, the employee remains connected to the company. The employee goes home, applies for the Canada Emergency Response Benefit. So, we're not breaking that tie between the company and the employee, where the employee is not sure if they still have a job waiting for them, and so on and so forth. And the company doesn't have to do all the paperwork that you would do if you laid off employees formally.
Okay, beautiful. I think that answers our question. And any other further questions we have, they can go right to your Facebook page. You've got it listed there.
Well, they can do that. They can also actually, if you have some small businesses that are listening, I'm sending out, I've sent out already a kind of information sheet, which I'm updating now. If somebody wants to get on that list, just send me your email address and your email address to francis.scarpaleggia at PARL, which is short for Parliament, .gc, which is short for Government of Canada.ca. And we will put you on that list. We send out a 2 or 3 pager that explains all the federal government support. And there are links to the relevant websites.
Okay, because it's important to get the right information. The hysteria, and I experience it in the blogging world, like there's so much information that it gets really daunting. It's really daunting. We're
getting lots of calls. I mean, I'm getting, seems like an email every 5 minutes with questions, and that's great. So people should keep doing that. If you're not sure about something, you can call 514-695-6661. We pick up our messages remotely, and so on and so forth. So we're in our office is closed. Please don't come to the door of our office, but you can reach us by phone, by email. We're definitely in contact with people.
Okay, beautiful. How do we compare to other countries in dealing with this? Like in reality, we see the numbers, but we don't know if they're real or not. Are we doing well? Are we doing better than most?
Well, I can't say honestly that I've done this kind of comparative analysis. However, what I would say is we're fortunate to have the health system we do have, where everyone is going to be looked after. I think we've been, our companies are stepping up. I guess in some countries, maybe they have to conscript the companies by law to say, look, you're going to help us out here. But that's not the case in Canada. The companies are contacting the government saying, we want to help. What can we do? We can get some masks, or we can make some gowns for you, clothing for you. As you know, Medicom in the riding here just signed a big contract with the government for masks and all kinds of supplies.
Will those masks be made here?
I'm absolutely. They have a plant in the Point Claire Industrial Park here, and they've signed a contract. I forget the exact number of masks they're going to be producing, but so I think we're well organized, and we're responding, like Canadians, like we're coming together.
Mm-hmm. Is the Army ready for this? Do we need the Army? I'm worried. I'm personally worried, and I get concerns about that. People are talking about looting. Like as we grow farther and farther from an income, people are going to be suffering, and there's fear that there will be starting to be looting and violence that comes with that.
Well, this, I think, that the government response to this economically has been massive, and we've never seen anything like this. And so we're trying to stabilize incomes and make sure businesses can stay afloat. So, the emphasis is on making sure that the economy stabilizes, and we're keeping, supply chains from the U.S. open and so on. It's very important that supply chains be open, because you have to keep your economy functioning on a certain speed all the same. So the Army is there. There's 24,000 full-time troops and reservists, including the Navy, that are at the ready if they need to be called in for assistance. But what they're talking about is if they need to be called in to help with wellness checks, or if there's some humanitarian disaster aid that is required. As you know, we live in what has become, it seems, bit of a flooding zone. So they're at the ready. Absolutely.
Okay, beautiful. I've got here, while the funding will be welcomed, there will be people living paycheck to paycheck and can't wait for mid-April. How do we speak to those people who can't wait?
Yeah, well, it's a good point, and people have rent payments to make. Somebody said on the news last night, I was watching the national news, and that question came up as well. And they said, look, take care of your health and make sure you eat. You know, look, we still live in a free market economy. It's a transactional economy. Some store owners have told me their landlords have been very cooperative, cutting their rents in half if they close shop. People are going to have discussions, with their landlords and so on. For in terms of individuals, I mean, there's protection, rental board protection. I mean, you can't just be thrown out of your apartment because you've missed or you're late with, 1 month's rent. So I think, people are going to have to negotiate that to some extent.
You see a plan being put in for landlords? Because
not right now, not right. But the Prime Minister has said, and this goes back 2 weeks, and he's been true to his word. As needs arise, as the situation evolves, we're putting in more measures. Now, I can't say that there'll be something, in those terms, a rental. But the government has given extra liquidity to the banks and said, look, go easy on your clients.
You're giving them liquidity, but they're only giving us a delayed payment. They're not transferring that liquidity.
Yeah, no, I understand. But if you're a landlord or whatever, like that could help you. That could allow you to be more flexible, maybe with your tenant, or it's all. These are all measures that, of course, they're not perfect. I know the Prime Minister's, the government's been talking with the banks about credit card interest rates. To hopefully bring those down. In the meantime, you should be able to go to your bank and say, look, I have a credit card balance at 22% or whatever it is. I'd like to convert that to a regular loan at, 6-7%. I don't know the rates, but, and the banks should be flexible with you.
Okay. Yeah. We'd like to see the banks a little, and I know I get a lot of comments like that, like the interest rates, either reduce them on the credit cards for now.
Yeah. Or convert your loan or whatever, convert your balance to a regular consumer loan. And the government's, the finance minister is in touch with the banks and obviously, making the point that, look, we need you here, we need your cooperation.
And telecommunication companies, the bills are still coming in, like no one's taking a break. Like they're, a moratorium on everybody not going out, but a moratorium on us having to pay.
Yeah. And remember, Rhonda, I mean, our modern society is extremely complex with all kinds of relationships and transactions, and it makes it a big challenge. Absolutely.
Okay. I know it's a question that you probably can't answer, but how long are we going to be doing this, and how do you see it unfolding?
The way I look at it is, well, now we're to May 1st. I think it is in Quebec. We're to May 1st. We went from April 13th to May 1st. They say the curve hasn't peaked. I can't say, but I think we're adapting for the longer haul, and we'll have to wait and see. But it's really been quite amazing how people have adapted, really, and are following the rules for the most part. And I think it should give us a lot of confidence and hope. The government has also, by the way, the 75%. I just want to make this mention. I think it's important because we have a lot of nonprofit groups in our riding. Mm-hmm. And so this 75% wage subsidy applies to them as well. And to qualify for the subsidy, you have to have a year-over-year decrease of 30% in your revenue. So that's pretty easy to calculate if you're a business. For a nonprofit, they're working on how that will be defined, but I would just have to assume that it's based on your donations and so on, the drop in your donation. So that 75%. That 75% wage subsidy will apply to charities and nonprofits, which I think is important. And as you know, there's been some talk in the news about this statutory increase, MP increase, but MPs and myself included, are making donations. We'll be making donations with that little extra sum that was supposed to come into effect. I think we have to think of our charities and nonprofits at this point.
Okay, that makes sense. When we go back to regular life, I don't think we'll ever be regular again, but when we go back out, how will it be trickling out? Will it be all in one day? Are we going to be told to go out? Like, how does it work? Like the construction, I have a bit of a fantasy going on that all the roads and all the cones are going to be gone when I come back out.
Like the what? Sorry?
The traffic cones and the construction. I'm like,
yeah, like they're gonna fix all this while the streets are empty. No, I think I was watching again last night in Italy, where they've been under quarantine. I think they've loosened up a bit so that people can go for a walk. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how it's going to unfold. But one would think people will be cautious in the initial phases. I mean, I don't think. I think that when as the pressure drops, as the virus gets through the system, obviously people I think are going to continue to approach things a little gingerly, and with a little bit of caution. But that's normal.
Will the shield protect me when I go back out?
The shield,
the face shield.
That they have at you mean at stores and so on?
Like if we all have a face shield, would that?
Yeah, that's a good question, because there's a lot of controversy on whether or a lot of debates on whether the masks that you see people wearing are really working. And then the experts will say that you have to be very careful with masks. You could make the situation worse for yourself. And also, what I seem to be hearing, like you and everyone else, over and over again, is look, just wash your hands. Wash your hands. Keep your hands away from your face, and stay 6 feet 2 meters.
Yeah.
So I think we have to really listen to the public health experts who are giving us some pretty simple messages that they feel are effective.
Okay. Do you have anything you want to add? Do you want to talk to anybody about anything particular? I've run out of questions.
Well, as I say, if you have small businesses that are listening and would like to get on our email list for our information sheet, they can email me their email address at francis.scarpaleggia@parl.gc.ca, and we'll try and get them on the list and keep them informed. And also, again, I reiterate, please, if you have any questions, if we can be of any assistance, email us at that email address or call us. We will get back to you. My staff, even though they're working from home, are extremely active. I mean, we've been concentrating a lot in the last week on Canadians, constituents who have been stuck overseas, and I'm pleased to say that a lot of them have made it back or are supposed to be coming back shortly on flights. And we're working on a few others that have not yet been able to secure a flight, but that's been a major preoccupation. But also just answering questions from constituents.
There's been a bit of controversy about the youth, and in some areas I've heard that bars are still open. They're defying the order and so on. We've got our youth not going outside, not conglomerating, but they're still heading to Uniprix and the banks and wherever to work. So like it's contradictory to them. Like they're not allowed to gather, but they're allowed to go to work.
Well, going back to a point I mentioned at the beginning, the economy has to continue functioning on some level, but employers have a responsibility to make sure their employees are safe. And we see more and more at the stores, that they're putting tape where, to show people where they should stand, from each other. And someone has told me that, some grocery stores have even installed sinks so people can walk. So yeah, I mean, the economy, and there have been plastic shields that have been put up for cashiers. So, it's important to make sure that employers need to take the precautions for their employees. But we have to buy food. Like We have to buy food, and some people need medical supplies at the grocery store, at the pharmacy, and so on. So yeah, it's not an easy time, and you know. So all I would say is to everyone: take care, be safe, be smart, and wash your hands.
And stay the hell home.
Yeah.
All right, Francis, thank you so much for talking to us today.
Okay, Rhonda, you take care.
Thanks.
Okay.